technology works.
I know. We're live. Yay. That's great. Yeah. So hello, everybody, and welcome to day 22 of Freedom from Anxiety in Uncertain Times. And today we have the gorgeous Catherine back with us, and we're going to have a little chat today. So I've had a couple of questions. I was just telling Catherine before we came on live. There's been a couple of questions coming in, and I guess they're all pointing to the same thing. These aren't the exact words, but questions to the tune of, you say this is simple, but here we are 22 days later, and we're still talking about it. So can you remind me what's the simple part about it? So that's always worth a conversation. And the other thing that came up was something I read yesterday. I was telling Catherine I saw an article, and it was on resilience. And it was talking to the fact that resilience is there so that we can bounce back. And it was talking about how the fact that globally people, with this pandemic, that we were locked down, and that was okay for a few weeks because we could bounce back after that. But because people are fatigued now, because we keep getting locked down, that's had a negative impact on our resilience, and that our resilience is diminished as a result because we can no longer bounce, because we haven't been allowed to bounce. We've been kind of repressed. And I had a visceral reaction to that when I read it, because it just didn't look true to me. It just didn't look real, based on what I know now. But more than just that, it also kind of spoke to any problem, that needs to be solved. So I thought maybe Catherine and I might have a chat about, how to solve any problem, whether it's resilience or anything else. And so hello, Catherine.
Good morning, Jan.
Happy Sunday, lunchtime here. So
I've just gone 7 a.m. So this is my morning cup of coffee.
Have you been to the donut shop yet?
No, not this morning.
Not this morning. It's not an every Sunday morning occurrence then.
No. I love what you're bringing to the conversation today, like that idea of simplicity and resilience, and looking at those ideas, because they're so fundamental to how the world really works and what I see about it. And I'm just kind of, what came to mind when you said simplicity was how difficult something looks when we don't know how to do it. When we're standing on the outside and we're looking in and we're watching and we're observing, we're doing YouTube videos, we're creating ideas in our head about how difficult it must be to do that thing. And then when we get to the actual doing of it, it happens, right? And I'm not saying that it's not without effort. I'm not saying that we don't fail and get up again and try again. That's not it. But once we master what it is that we're looking at, the response is, oh, it's simple. Yeah. And is it true? Yes, it's true. It's simple. But it's not necessarily easy. And I think that that's where the conversation and the words get confused. Because you're talking about the question, well, it's been 22 days. If it's simple, then how come I don't have this, right? And it's like, oh, yeah, I got that. You think simple means easy. And I can unequivocally say that this has been the hardest thing I have ever learned in my entire flippin' life.
Yeah.
And when I say that from this conversation where I have spent 3 years of my life looking in this direction. I have traveled internationally multiple times to go and learn and be with people that are having this conversation, that have this understanding, that are able to teach me something new about life that I've never seen before. Yeah, I mean, it's dishonest, right? It's ingenuine. to say disingenuine, to say that this is simple, so therefore it's so easy, because it's, once you see it and it's clear, it does the simplicity of it is one of the defining features.
Yeah.
However, the willingness to look requires a giving up of what it is that we know. There's a meditation idea about a beginner's mind, where when we come to something, we drop back down into the mindset of having come to it for the first time, the not knowing, showing up with a beginner's mind. And it's a little bit hard to do as you get older in this whole human experience, because we work so hard for what we know. I have achieved this level of lifing, and darn it, like, it's taken me years to get here. So what I know has to be valuable. What I know has to be worthwhile. What I've trained in, what I've studied, what I've experienced, right? And to look at all of that and be willing to say, you know what? Maybe I don't know. Maybe the direction that I've been looking, maybe the conclusions that I've come to, maybe the wisdom that I've learned, maybe it's no longer serving me in this moment. Maybe there's something new. Maybe there's something different. Maybe there's something else on offer. And could I take what I know and just put it down for a minute and see, hey, what are they talking about? What's this conversation all about? Hey, what is it that they're experiencing? Because if we're doing it correctly, right? I mean, it should be giving a feeling, because it's never about the words, and it's not about an intellectual understanding. It's about a feeling that gets created when you come home to truth of, how does life really work?
No, that's beautiful, Catherine. And one of the things that I hear you say an awful lot that really brings it back to its simplicity, and I see it in your writing especially, is it's inside out.
Well, yes, my tagline for my Instagram and my Facebook is living from the inside out. And the thought that I had in pointing people to this direction was to give them the experience of what it feels like. How does life really look when we live from the inside out? And it's funny that you say that, because the inside out is exactly the answer to the resiliency thing. Like,
everything.
Well, it is the answer to everything, but specifically that article that you were talking about, because I mean, bless that person, because I see their thinking. Like, yeah. I see them, and to me, they're kind of like in the ocean without a life jacket, and they're just paddling, like trying to keep their head above the water. And it's like, well, my validation for my human experience comes from the external. Yeah. So it's when I go out in the world and do stuff, yes. And it goes well or it doesn't go well, but it gives me a barometer, and I'm able to gauge and impact and adjust. And therefore, when I'm winning at life, I'm winning. And it's like, oh, yeah, but that's not resiliency.
No. And that's, that the fact that it's an insight, as humans, the way we experience life, anything in life is from the inside out. I mean, that's the simplicity of it. I love Dickon Bettinger, and you do too. I don't know anybody that doesn't love Dickon Bettinger. He's a teacher in this understanding. And he actually talks about two things you need to have a beautiful life. And I think one is that recognizing that, your problems and your feelings about your problems are not coming from outside. It's not the difficult person. It's not the airplane. It's, not whatever it is for you. It's just a thought that it's coming from the inside. And I suppose the other side of that coin then is that, our true nature is what's underneath all of that. And that's always waiting to break through. Our wisdom is always waiting to break through. But to what you said, we have to have an open and receptive mind. Or we don't have to, but it's easier to hear it. It's always trying to break through. But when we have an open and receptive mind, something new can come in. But as you said, we have to be willing to put just put aside and put down just for a moment what we think is already truth, or what we already believe, or what we know. We have to have the courage, I suppose, to let go of that, so that something new can come in, and so that there's space for the wisdom to come through. And it's like having, an old glass of wine that you don't want to drink anymore because it's been in the glass too long. Well, you don't top it up, you empty it out and you put fresh stuff in.
Yeah, and it's even, I mean, just kind of looking at it, right? Because you're saying that, and I'm just thinking about my 3-year-old, and I'm thinking about how you can't stop him from learning. Like, he wants to know, and I mean, the questions never stop. But like, it's our innate experience. Like, we as human beings, we want to know, we want to learn, we want to grow. Like, that's our default setting. What else is there for me to know about this? I'm curious, I'm interested. And yeah, I mean, my 2-year-old or my 3-year-old drinks milk, and yeah, that's great, and milk, it totally suits them. But I'm a little bit beyond milk. I would rather have, a nice glass of whiskey, or maybe some wine or something. But it's like, I have to be willing to dump the milk out, because otherwise, how are you going to get the new fresh stuff into the cup? And I'm just wondering, like, how many of us are still wandering around with milk bottles? It's like,
Yeah.
this is what I saw about the world, and this was the experience. And so, I'm never going to give this up. And it's like, well, okay, but you do realize that there's a whole, like, selection out there. There's more choice.
Yeah.
And it's that willingness to say, oh, there is? Well, let me go see what's out there. Let me just try it. And, you can always pick back up whatever it is that you put down. No one's stopping you.
No, and there's nobody asking you to believe anything. It's just, put the baba down for a few minutes and try a fresh glass of wine here and see what you think.
The grown-ups are drinking. Well, the ones that kill me are the ones who said, well, I tried wine when I was 17 and I didn't like it. And I'm like, yeah, you had the palate of a 17-year-old. Like, what did you think was going to happen when you drank wine when you were 17? Yeah. Like, hi, you're in your 50s. Like, things have changed. Have you tried wine lately? Because it's actually, I mean,
yes, you might have a different palate. Absolutely, yeah.
But
yeah. So if and just coming back to the resilience, if it all works inside out, and we're saying it does all work inside out, then your resilience can't be impacted by anything that's going on, by a pandemic, by work, by children acting out, anything. Doesn't make any difference. Because our resilience is coming from the inside out as well, and it's part of our true nature, and it's undamaged and untouched. And in the greater level, anytime we get stuck or feel stuck, or anything looks like a big problem to us, it's just the knowing, isn't it, that the difficulty I'm having is in thinking that I'm having, and the relationship I'm having with the thinking that's passing through right now. So it doesn't matter whether you think you're losing your resilience, or losing your house, or losing your job, or anything else. It's all comes back to the same thing. If you know it works inside out, then there's relief in just knowing that.
It's the relief, and then the freedom. Yeah. Because the experience of life comes from me. It's all generated from the inside of my thoughts and my experience and what it is that I see about life. And that can change in an instant, because thoughts shift that quickly, that once you see it, it's easy to say, oh, no, I don't believe that. Oh, no, that's not how the world works. Oh, no, that's not true. And then it falls away. And then all that's left is.
Yeah. Now, you still have the experience of the feeling of the thinking, if your thinking is causing you to feel bad, but just knowing that that's what's causing it, it mightn't vanish instantly, but it allows it to flow and keep moving. In my experience anyway. And that's the simplicity of it.
That's the simplicity of it.
You can still be in, emotional discomfort, but when you know that you're the one that's creating it on some level, and that you don't have to fix it, that you just have to realize that, leave it alone, and it'll pass through.
There's that part. And there's also the part about how we don't actually know
Yes,
what comes
that's a
next.
big part. That's
Because a
big
lot
part.
of the emotional discomfort comes from, well, this is discomfort, or this is uncomfortable to me because, and this is the story I've made up, because in my mind it should have gone A, B, C.
Yeah.
And the way that it looks right now is we've gone A to F to Z back to Q, and it's like, no, I'm absolutely certain that this isn't going to turn out the way that I'm anticipating that it should.
Yeah.
And it's when we see that we don't know what's supposed to happen next. It's only that idea. Oh, well, life is supposed to unfold this way, and we're not supposed to get locked in our houses, and we're not supposed to stop and look.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to have time to really sit with ourselves and really explore. No, I need to be busy. I need to go back to work. I need to busy myself up so that I don't have to pay attention to the voice of wisdom. Yeah, that's the interesting piece, is that I have to do this. You don't understand. If I don't get back to work, I'm not going to be okay. And it's like, oh, but what you don't see is that you're already okay.
And it's the opposite to being open and receptive. Yeah. Just beautiful. I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us again today, Catherine.
Thank you so much.
You have a wonderful Sunday. Ours is half over already. So you enjoy. And to everybody else, have a great Sunday, and love to all, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Catherine.